All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Oh, thank you all. It's our big Friday. It's Casual Friday. Yeah, so great to have everybody in the mix. Have a big show, and the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the inequities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. So when you keep that in mind, I mean, as Pete Hegseth will tell you, great vengeance and furious anger to those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. That's all I have to say. And you will know my name is the Lord, is the, right. Indeed, yesterday we had a viewer, listener, tell us that Pistol Pete Hegseth had essentially borrowed that scripture from Pulp Fiction. And look, I'm not saying maybe the guy knew the scripture, maybe he didn't. He kind of suggested that it was what the battalion that was sent into Iran was for the rescue mission, what they were quoting. It was a weird kind of twisting of things and facts that he did so he could...
Who said it better, Sam or Pete? Yeah. I think Samuel said it better.
Oh, that's very funny. This is Hegseth's head on the Sam Jackson body from Pulp Fiction. But it was a viewer listener who pointed out to us, I guess, that news was breaking yesterday. I just couldn't believe it. And as it turns out, it's sort of true. I mean, that the prayer used by Sandy 1, as he called them, the combat search and rescue mission guys, reflected this Ezekiel passage that Hegseth quoted. So it paraphrases it, but it's there.
It reminds me of that moment when Melania borrowed the speech from Michelle Obama. Remember that? Yeah.
That was incredible. Thank you for reminding me of that. Wow, that was wild. Couldn't believe it. Well, in any case, I'm astounded by it. Look, this crew is so full of lightweight incompetents who try to make up for that incompetence by coming in heavy on any number of things. Hegseth is he's the apex predator of incompetence, and he also is the apex predator of buffoonery and bravado. And so, meanwhile, Donald Trump, I've got a lot of really substantive stuff, not to mention the likely beginnings of an end that involves a reopening of the Strait of Hormuz to this whole conflict in Iran. Perhaps there really is a way to get out of it, but this does coexist with a certain tendency toward escalation that I'll speak of as well. And we'll have Mo Kelly and Michael Shure along, hour 2. Also, Michael Snyder, the culture blaster, will be here, hour 2. We got a lot to get, and we're going to meet Christy and spend a moment with a brilliant small businesswoman. Christy, of course, from Sweet 106 Bakery. She's going to stop through for a brief conversation. And Courtney will be here as well.
Yay.
But there was a piece of legislation that was snuck through, an extension on the warrantless wiretapping that goes on in America. It should be disturbing to all Americans. The surveillance state, as it continues to grow, is something that should concern all of us, and I will touch on that also in the minutes ahead. The bizarre sideshow that is the Donald Trump presidency, even as he makes a centerpiece of his presidency, these military flexes, his adventurism, his, once again, incompetence and ignorance when it comes to world affairs, his utter disregard for the alliances that have stood in good stead through the decades. I'm talking about the NATO alliances. I'm even talking about the trade alliances with Mexico, with Canada, etc. He's destroying all of it. There is increasing evidence. In fact, there was just a huge meeting of the European leaders that has excluded America. They are looking at the NATO alliance continuing without America, America increasingly isolating itself from the rest of the world, doing it both hostilely, that is to say, just in terms of expressed hostilities. Tariffs is another way to express hostility beyond the rhetoric, right? And of course, the military adventurism is out of control. So in addition to that, I'd consider all of that sort of a centerpiece of policy, even though it's a small P on policy with Trump, because I think he's just mostly playing golf and trying to, build stuff in his name, like an arch and a ballroom and put his name on money and put his name on buildings. There is the sideshow that is Trump, which is that, the building and the putting the name up everywhere, and then smack talking the Pope. And this smack talking the Pope thing is wild. So apparently the Pope's brother is a Trumpy. I know this, because I guess he references this all the time, does Trump, that Pope's brother is a big MAGA person, right? His brother lives in Florida. Isn't that where he lives, Kim? And I think apparently, I guess he's in the Pope's from Chicago, but I thought that his brother was in Florida. But one of the Pope's brothers was the victim of a false bomb threat this week, and that was in Illinois. So maybe the MAGA brother lives in Florida and a different one lives in Illinois. But in any case, the one that lives in Illinois was, I guess, had a bomb threat that was called in. Officers dispatched to the scene, I'm reading from the police report, and established a secure perimeter to ensure the safety of nearby residents. No explosives, no injuries, according to the police. Kim actually establishes a safe perimeter before this show every day, which is something else, which is quite impressive. Yeah. She,
like
in addition to all
today.
of her other duties. Yeah, it really is.
There's
really
no
is.
riffraff inside the perimeter today.
No,
We're all right.
the perimeter is well established by Kim every single day. All right. What's the latest on Iran and the smack talking of the Pope? It's here in this wrap package.
Overnight in Nevada, President Trump says the war with Iran should be over soon, claiming it's going swimmingly.
I will say the war in Iran is going along swimmingly. We can do whatever we want.
By the way, stop for a second, Albert. I just don't think you'd ever hear any leader, head of state, refer to this war that has turned the world economy on its side, that has created, I'd suggest, a kind of escalation gravity that is very, very hard to get away from. That is to say, we've seen things escalate, and I'd suggest to you that there's still a lot of those same elements in place. You've created your own total mess domestically because of it, and you've essentially isolated once again America from the rest of the world. I am astounded that he'd use the word swimmingly.
Makes you want to do the fish,
It really is. Things are going along swimmingly. It really isn't a word that has ever been applied to a major conflict.
Never been anything like this.
I really think the guy. Anyway, I just had to comment on that. Winston Churchill never used the word swimmingly in anything related to an ongoing military effort. All right. Anyway, back to Donald Trump and
pretty soon it was perfect.
The ceasefire with Iran is set to expire in just 5 days. Before the president left the White House, I asked what happens if they do not make a deal.
If there's no deal, would you be willing to extend the ceasefire, or will the fighting resume, Mr. President?
I would say the fighting. If there's no deal, fighting resume.
But moments later, the president reversing course, saying he would be open to extending it.
If we need to, I would do that.
The president says a second round of talks between the U.S. and Iran could take place as soon as this weekend, as gas prices continue to increase across the country.
How much longer will Americans continue to see these high gas prices?
Well, they're not very high. If you look at what they were supposed to be in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon, with the danger that entails.
But gas prices are up $1.11 since the start of the war, now averaging more than $4 a gallon. At the White House, the president also facing questions about his ongoing attacks on Pope Leo.
I'm not fighting with him. The Pope made a statement. He says Iran can have a nuclear weapon. I say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
The Pope never said that. He criticized the president for threatening to destroy an entire civilization in Iran and has preached a message of peace, speaking in war-torn Cameroon.
The masters of war pretend not to know that it takes only a moment to destroy. Yet often, a lifetime is often not enough to rebuild.
Catholic leaders rushing to the Pope's defense.
There was a group of bishops that did put out a statement saying the Pope isn't merely exercising his opinion, he's preaching the gospel. I mean, what do you say to people that view this?
Well, I
as
want
an
him
attack
to
on the
preach the
Catholic Church?
gospel. I'm all about the gospel, but I also know that you cannot let a certain country, which is a very mean-spirited country, have a nuclear weapon.
By the way, when it comes to mean-spirited countries, I'm sorry, but I want to say we're rising up the charts. America, #1.
This is Casey Kasem in Hollywood.
I gotta tell you, America is really rising up the charts in terms of mean-spirited countries.
This is Casey Kasem in Hollywood.
By the way, he is all about Scripture, though, to be fair to Donald Trump. I mean, that is true, and he's always been about Scripture, as evidenced here in his conversation in which he's asked about his favorite Scripture. It's cut to Albert.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favorite Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal. So I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
It's like picking between children.
To you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that
No,
you like?
I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible...
both.
The whole Bible is an incredible... I joke very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
Sure. Yeah. Well, who could disagree? He really... I mean, you can tell a biblical scholar when you see one. And I just saw one. Really quite special. The Trump administration, as you know, quite critical of the Obama administration for sending all that money to Iran. Remember? I want to say it was $1.6 billion in cash on those pallets. Remember? You always hear about it. Republicans do the same thing. They talk about it. And how could the Iranians be given all this money by the Obamas? The reality is now, and first of all, that money was unfrozen. That's why that money existed. It was really Iranian money. But I'm not here as an apologist or an explainer for the Obama administration. But I'm just trying to contextualize it a bit. Now, the Trump administration is considering a $20 billion cash for uranium deal with Iran. Listen to this. The U.S. would release $20 billion in frozen Iranian funds in return for Iran giving up its stockpile of enriched uranium. The latest number discussed by the U.S. and Iran is $20 billion. The U.S. has asked Iran to agree to ship all its nuclear material to the U.S., while the Iranians have agreed to downblend inside Iran that nuclear material, make it not ready for prime time when it comes to making a nuclear weapon. Under a compromise proposal now under discussion, some of the highly enriched uranium would be shipped to a third country, not necessarily the U.S., and some would be downblended in Iran under international monitoring. So, looks like, once again, the U.S. is going to find a way to buy our way out of it. This is what we did in Afghanistan. The most effective strategy in Afghanistan was not military. It was financial. We bought out warlords. We bought out the Taliban. Read Petraeus's book. He talks about it. So what we come down to, I think, in Trump and in those involved in this entire thing, because they are essentially... they're real estate deal makers. Kushner and Witkoff and Trump, these guys, it's real estate and it's deals. As I've told you before, I'll just mention it again for those who might have missed it. One of the criticisms about this nuclear deal as it's being discussed and negotiated is that those involved in the discussion don't understand the science of nuclear enrichment because they're just not properly briefed and deeply seated in that area. This is what I was talking about when I was speaking about sweeping the State Department clean of everybody with any institutional experience and knowledge. So you've sent people to deal with this is a science-related thing, nuclear enrichment and the building of these nuclear weapons, and you've sent people there to negotiate it who are real estate guys. Yeah, I mean, Witkoff is Trump's golfing buddy and makes a deal on condos. Same thing with Kushner, who's now running a fund. I get it, but it's completely funded by his pals, the Saudis. So, look, I'm leaving the conflict of interest out of this entire thing. I'm just talking about their inability to even understand the underpinnings of this deal. And as I said for years since he made his first remarks about how the Obama nuclear deal was awful and we're tearing the worst deal ever, Trump was saying, Trump couldn't tell you one thing in it. Of course. He's a branding guy. He's a BS artist. But finally, his BS is caught up to him. So now you have, there they are, Witkoff and Kushner, making this deal, and it'll likely be, at least this is one of the things that's talked about, a buyout. Maybe it's $20 billion in Iranian frozen funds that are unfrozen in relation to some of what I just described. Meantime, it's tariff refund time. The Trump administration is going to be launching a tariff refund portal. It's because the Supreme Court deemed the tariffs illegal, which is something that was predicted by David Katz on this show and pretty much viewed as totally outrageous at the time, but he got away with it for months, and even the Supreme Court didn't enjoin his ability to impose these tariffs. So he got some pretty good concessions and some pretty good self-enrichment along the way. He got a green light on his resort and hotel in Vietnam. He got a green light on his resort and hotel. I think it's somewhere, maybe it's in the UAE, somewhere in the Middle East. So he got a lot of personal enrichment along the way as a result of the tariffs. But, of course, ultimately they were deemed illegal, as I say. And so now there is a portal that's being set up, and you'll have to navigate that portal. I mean, it's $175 billion that could be owed. So it's not an insubstantial amount of money. And they are going to put the burden on the importer to get that money. In other words, the government isn't coming after you saying, we owe you money. You have to go after the government saying, you owe me money. And there'll be a mechanism here through this portal to seek compensation for these illegal emergency levies. But again, you'll have to get refunds, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars in refunds on U.S. importers, and there are going to be trade attorneys involved, or people are going to be lawyering up. You know, there are already lawsuits underway. I think, I want to say Costco is one, and believe me, these lawsuits, I think, help prompt this resolution at the Supreme Court level. There are 56,000 U.S. importers registered to get payments, according to the government. 82% of the duty payments, $127 billion, are eligible for refunds in the initial deployment. It's an effort. And there are two types of people, parties, businesses who can apply for tariff refunds, apparently. The businesses that paid the tariffs and the custom brokers that paid duties on behalf of the importer. So if you fall into one of those categories, you can petition the government through the government portal. But it's not automatic. You have to opt in for refunds. You have to wait for the response from the government. And they're going to make you jump through hoops, but the portal is open. And so the duties that were paid and illegally levied, you can get some of that money back. Meantime, the cost of the war. I'll get to that in a moment because it's something that we all want to know in the middle of a situation that appears to really be a preamble to the biggest ask in the history of military funding. So we'll get to that next. But
The Mark Thompson Show.
I did want to recognize that I am drinking the greatest coffee on earth. It is Coachella Valley coffee. I've been drinking it all morning. I've had a very, very long morning. This helped me get through the long morning. I've, by the way, just recharged. You should recharge too. From CoachellaValleyCoffee.com, all organic coffee, ethically sourced from women-owned farms. And again, they're tasting notes and tasting profiles under all their beans. Use Mark T at checkout and you'll get 10% off CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. It is coffee, but it's also tea and spices, and everything there is curated with great care and with great pride. They're an extraordinary group. They really are. And a small business that I'm so proud has a relationship with us on the show. And our audience has been really supportive. And that's a really cool thing. So CoachellaValleyCoffee.com, Mark T at checkout, and you get 10% off. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com.
Put that coffee down.
Yes. All right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Did you see there's a new breakout of measles in Utah? Crazy, man. I mean,
I was reading yesterday that there's now 40 cases this year in California. The previous high recently was in 2019 with 27. Already we're at 40. And this was not a problem until the Maha-Yehus came in and said vaccines were an issue.
That's exactly right. Kim's exactly right. This is an eradicated illness. And yet now we have 600 cases, mostly in kids, in the Utah-Arizona border last summer. 600 cases reported. Many of them, a third of them actually, have been so sick that they sought treatment in emergency rooms, mainly for severe dehydration caused by vomiting and diarrhea. And this is how we know these numbers, because these people become desperate. All that Maha bullshit that they give you is not enough to keep you out of the hospital. And as Kim says, they've broken out all over the United States, Texas, South Carolina. And some of those have been in religious communities, the Mennonite community, the Amish, the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community. These have sort of been hotbeds. But now it's jumped between these under-vaccinated groups to others even in Utah, where, parents can just opt out of these various vaccine requirements for any number of reasons. Personal reasons. I just love that whole personal reason thing.
Personal. It's a Jesus reason.
Yeah. So anyway, that's happening in Utah. I just saw it today and I thought, oh my God.
And here's what happens is all these like-minded parents, they go to the same schools, right? Where it's easy to get your kid in. And when they go to the same schools and they're all unvaccinated, it spreads like wildfire.
Just incredible. It's an incredibly communicable disease. I mean, it really is super communicable. And I'll tell you, RFK Jr. got broiled on the congressional hearing floor yesterday, but I don't know. I watched a bunch of it and I thought, is there something? It just takes time away from other stuff. And he's basically and he's another one who's a BS artist, So I just didn't feel as though is it, I'm sorry, the screen's too small. I can't see it. Colinar on the chat says RFK Jr. is clear and present danger to the American people. I mean, I think that it's true that many of his attitudes and policies and those things he's put into administrative play are just that. They are a danger. So measles is extra terrifying because if you survive it, it wipes the memory of your immune system. Wow, is that right? Anything you were vaxxed against, tetanus, polio, whatever, says Agent Kitty Feets. No more immunity. Back to square one. I didn't know that.
Nothing.
I
Wow.
believe her. She's a scientist. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Good knowledge. I had no idea. Somebody else, Tammy, is saying encephalitis is when the measles attacks the brain. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly dangerous thing. And just the other lunacy of having eradicated this illness and now having completely sold the myth of the danger of the vaccines. Trump says he's never gotten the measles due to Diet Coke. That's right. I forgot. Thank you, Tony, for that.
The science is ridiculous.
Tony is an OG from San Antonio. He used to listen to.
Is that the same Tony from San Antonio? Wow.
I'm assuming because I saw the Spurs logo.
Oh, that's super cool, dude. We thank you for listening. He used to listen on KGO Radio, which is where this show started in San Francisco. Big talk radio station, and we moved here because the station went away. I mean, it's crazy. You know, commercial radio is on the way out. People don't realize it yet, but you'll realize it soon. I mean, the people in commercial radio realize it, believe me. But I loved Tony. He was our guy in San Antonio. He used to listen to us on the stream. And great contributor to the show. And it's funny, when we came over here, we've now been here, 3.5 years? I wondered if he came over. I always wondered. And now I know. And it's funny, I'd never seen it before. There's Tony. Go Spurs, go. Very, very cool, Tony. He is
Good luck
an
to your
OG.
Spurs, Tony. We're rooting for them unless they're playing my Warriors, so all good.
A lot of love for Tony in the chat. Anyway, if you want to join our crew, you can. We are a live show every day, Monday through Friday. We start at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 11:30 on the West Coast in America. We go for 90 minutes to 2 hours typically, and you can find us also as an audio podcast on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, and anywhere major podcasts are offered.
With your iron rod.
Oh, yeah. Smash that like button, everybody. It helps us in the world.
With your iron rod.
And become a YouTube member. Thank you. Indeed, it has been suggested formally now by Flo Galvez that you should become a YouTube member. If you click under the video, there's a star, and that offers you memberships at 2 different levels. And the one thing I will tell you, very important, or as I like to say, muy importante, do it on the web. Don't do it through the app. If you're watching on the YouTube app, if you're, go through the web, open a browser and do it that way because it's less expensive. They charge you, which is screwed up. We don't get any of this money. They charge you, if you go through the app, an extra $5. Everything just gets $5 more expensive. So go through the web, but then jump back on the app and then watch us on the app. Definitely have some big membership stuff coming up. We have a meetup. Not too long, we'll be announcing that. And then next week, we hope to have our first behind-the-scenes look at what's going on with the show. And again, that's for those at the deep state level, the deep staters, a very elite group. So we'll have that all going on. But definitely join things and be a part of it. It is our membership. Sean McIsaac with a $10.08 super chat. The CEO of Chevron told us all to wear a sweater in the face of high prices. The messaging worked out so well for Jimmy Carter. Yeah, boy, Jimmy Carter faced the same thing, but man, supercharged. Thanks for that. Yeah, in fact, I want to get to an oil story in Chevron in a second, but by the way, just because you've mentioned Chevron, I'll just mention Chevron, as you know, has greatly expanded its presence in Venezuela now. Now, Chevron was one of the only company really, to remain in Venezuela during the despotic regime that we just replaced, okay? And now, Trump is saying, I've talked to all the oil companies, they're going to come in, they're already evaluating it. Well, the oil companies, as we detailed it for you, they don't want to go into a place where there are violent militias that are scattered across the country and actually watching all of these oil wells. They can't put their people in that kind of jeopardy. So you really didn't have oil company buy-in. And the oil companies even said as much. But the Chevron people are already there, and they've expanded their footprint, and now you have some buy-in as a result from other oil companies, but it's mostly Chevron. The other big thing, and this is a huge, huge case at the Supreme Court level involving oil companies, was you might have it in the show, Kim, the Supreme Court decision on moving the cases that they have and the complaints that they are involved in, the suits that they're involved in. This is in Louisiana, to federal court. So they can go out of the state and move it to federal court, and that's generally a friendlier venue for them than they have in the Louisiana courts. Here's what the oil companies have done, and I'll just do this in 30 seconds. They have destroyed the Gulf Coast. They destroyed it not just with oil spills, and not just with the recklessness that lead to that kind of thing, but with the way in which they've cut inlets all along the way in Louisiana. So the natural barriers to water coming up to the Gulf Coast in Louisiana and Mississippi, etc., but we're just talking Louisiana now because that's where the lawsuits are. Those natural barriers are destroyed. So you have now a flow of water. That coastline damage is what this lawsuit's all about. Thank you. The Supreme Court, again, handing Chevron the win in the Louisiana coastline damage lawsuit. That damage is forever. That's not just a temporary thing. They have destroyed the coastal communities there in Louisiana forever. And those inlets allow for the surge that's associated with a storm surge when there are hurricanes and other tropical weather systems to move all the way in. Again, the natural barriers to all of this are destroyed. So there are fertile mating grounds, there are fragile habitats. Those have all been destroyed. I mean, with a wanton destruction. This is truly a rapacious group. They are leaving a trail of destruction along the entire Gulf Coast. And finally, the people of Louisiana are suing. And now the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas and pals, are moving those Chevron cases from state court into a federal venue where it'll be much friendlier for them. You saw that Clarence Thomas said, if you want to protect America, you need to take America. You saw his comments. I want to ask the guys about that. But I mean, Thomas has already, come out and sort of made some full-throated statements about, you, the people, have to take hold of this country. And honestly, that's what worries me, is that, the wrong people are taking hold of the country. But that's the story for another time. On with the boys.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It is always a great pleasure on Friday to be joined by two very knowledgeable guys with great takes. How about it from Mo Kelly? Yeah, great to see Mo. And Michael Shure, everyone. Wow, get the dynamic duo together. Very exciting. Well, you come on quite a day when it looks as though the primordial ooze of an end to this military adventurism that Donald Trump and the Israelis got into in Iran may be winding down. I mean, there's the declaration that the Strait of Hormuz is now open, that they are sitting down. There's a ceasefire in Lebanon, as you're aware. Thoughts on this, Mo? Are we really going to find our way out of it? I see a lot of ways in which this thing could still escalate, to be frank.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Donald Trump may pull out, but we still don't have any real sense of where the enriched uranium is. Iran is going to hold on to that. They're getting, from what I understand, some $20 billion in released Iran money, $20 billion. There's no clarity as far as the ICBM. We don't know anything about their missile program. We have 13 soldiers which are not coming home. And the price of oil may have dropped 10%, but the oil profiteering, going back to your story about Chevron, is going to continue for the foreseeable future. I don't know what America got out of this at all. No exaggeration.
Does appear as though we've backslid on this, Michael Shure.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you have an ill-defined aim in the first place, and you don't have the strength of your allies behind you is that when you have a wayward goal, ill-defined is the best way to put it, then when it comes time to ending it, when you haven't talked about why you began it in the first place and what the actual payout should be, then it becomes even murkier when you're on your way out. So this was set up to be a failure because they didn't have the backing. They didn't have the backing from Congress. It seemed as if it was a distraction. And so to that end, I don't trust what's here. There's not, he said, of course, Iran has said that the Strait of Hormuz is open. The president has said, well, you still have to, we still have control of it. We still have a blockade. Hezbollah has said that they're going to abide by this. But if Israel breaks this truce, it's going to be back to square one. It's very, very, I would say, slipshod organization in terms of going to war and getting out of war.
It's so surprising because nothing else has been so slipshod with these guys. I did want to mention the disparity or the difference between, if you will, the two economies, because the stock market seems to rally on this news, and oil prices drop, and we're 7 weeks in, and there's a record high on the S&P, and so Wall Street is on some level having a different experience than our average Americans who are dealing with the prices at the gas pump that, as you've suggested, Mo, there really is, I think, profiteering going on in relation to, meaning the declaration of war and the declaration that there was going to be an oil crisis was accompanied by this sort of immediate jump at the pump. And you talk about the rocket feather economic rule where, the prices rocket up and feather down. I mean, the rocket went off right away. And Trump is saying, hey, don't sweat it, guys. You have that cut, Albert. It's cut 4, I think. Here's the president speaking about the oil prices and gas prices generally.
On gas prices, how much longer will Americans continue to see these high gas prices?
Well, they're not very high. If you look at what they were supposed to be in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon, with the danger that entails. So the gas prices have come down very much over the last 3-4 days. I know, and that's what ABC says. But the fact is that if you look at the stock markets up, everything's doing really well. And the big thing we have to do is we have to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, because if they do, you want to talk about problems, you'd have problems. So very important is that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. Iran's agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bomber. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive. Very complicated subject. It's I don't think we're waiting. I think we're moving very fast. It could happen pretty quickly.
Okay, so don't sweat the oil prices. They could be a lot higher. In fact, I thought they would be a lot higher when we started all of this thing. Yeah, he just begins his, everything is, they've agreed to it quite, whatever he said, it was, I can never follow. He's just so full of BS, honestly. But so, through all of it, anyway, he's just trying to basically talk his way out of the high gas prices, Michael.
Yeah, and Chris Wright, his energy secretary, was on Capitol Hill this week trying to do the same thing. Wright, to his credit, said a while ago that he thought that these prices would correct the oil prices by summertime. And now they seem to be hedging on that a little bit because summertime is in the supply and demand economy when there is a lot of demand for gas. And so the prices tend to go up a little bit anyway. And they even square one, right? Even when he started this conflict, oil prices and gas prices in the United States were nowhere near what he had promised they would be. He also inflated where they were when he ran for president. So it's not surprising that he just tries to muddy the waters, as he does all the time, in order to make people think, at least, that he is, that he's doing a good job here. And when they come down and when the market goes up, that means everything is rosy. The problem is, while there are still people who are buying what he sells, and there always will be, there are fewer of them now. And we're seeing that in elections. We're seeing that in polling. We're seeing that in sentiment, that the act seems to be growing old right now. And because of that, even a chipping away at what once worked for him, the fact that that's happening is, I would say, an encouraging sign for people who don't, in fact, like what he has been selling all along.
Yeah, and commodity prices rise, Mo. Airfares are going to rise. Grocery prices rise. All in relation. We look at the price of the pump. It's really just one indicator of a ripple effect that many consumers, I mean, all of us, are going to endure.
Absolutely. I mean, you can have the disingenuous messaging that's going to continue, even to a certain degree. You're going to have continuing market manipulation, but the reality is people are going to have to pay what they pay, not only at the pump, in grocery stores. And you have a president who is operating independently of his own party. He's not even moving in concert with his party as far as trying to help the party as they get closer to the midterms. Now, if you're a Democrat, you should be pleased by that, because it helps the party. Rising tide lifts all boats, if I can borrow Ronald Reagan for a second. So it helps the fullness of the Democratic Party. But individually, as Americans, it's going to hurt us precipitously financially, as far as how we're going to make it through this spring and into summer and into fall.
You guys have seen this president, again, kind of ply his trade of explaining things away, of creating his own reality, again, of salesmanship, of a con, if you will, on certain things. But increasingly, and this is sort of to the point Michael was making, that people may be getting tired of it. He's become more hostile. Maybe it's a sign of his embattled presidency, that his popularity is waning, that he feels, I don't know, less and less powerful. It's odd because, the flexes seem to be completely unrestrained. But I'm getting around to him smack-talking the Pope this week. I mean, it really was, it started on Easter Sunday with, him calling for the elimination of the Iranian civilization if they don't open the strait, et cetera, using the F-bomb on Easter. And then it really turned specifically to the Pope. This seems to be, and now there's really it's like a rap battle between the Pope and Trump. I mean, I wonder if you could just speak to this lunacy and how it actually may have an effect in a greater way on the president's popularity, Mo.
I have to say, if you are trying to argue moral authority with the Pope, you're going to lose. Despite whatever is going to happen on social media, despite all of his messaging, everyone knows the stats about a quarter of the United States, they're Catholics, and that is going to hit home. That's something that he's going to have to answer for on some level, be it polling, voters, what have you. And elections are real. There are real seats which are going to be at stake, and people are going to remember this. And not only that, he keeps doubling and tripling down. Each time the Pope has anything to say, he wants to go back at the Pope. It wasn't enough to depict himself as Jesus himself, laying hands on someone who looked like John Stewart. He wanted to double down and have Jesus hugging him. Not only is he declining cognitively, he is a megalomaniac on top of that. So to your point, Mark, I think it's going to get worse. It's going to get more pervasive, and he's going to be more unhinged, if you will, as they get closer and closer to the election, because his concerns are the only concerns, not the party's concerns.
Michael, it doesn't seem like it's very good politics to take on the Pope.
No, it isn't. And what's interesting, too, is he has found good politics in taking on a lot of those third rails in politics. He, from the very get-go, from a 2015 debate in Cleveland, where he said some really misogynistic things to Megyn Kelly that you may remember, to now. And what's changed is the act, again, is wearing thin, not to everyone, and he's still going to be pushing the same act, and it's still going to resonate with those of his acolytes who are still with him. But in terms of what we see in this man, a lot of people are growing tired of it. And when he finally got to the Pope, you think, well, who's left if you can go after the Pope? The also the political astuteness of it is so foolish, and it's hurting Republicans. And you'd think that he would want to hold on to the House and the Senate. Each time he does these things now, they hurt him politically, right? Maybe incrementally, maybe in bigger ways. But the fact that they're beginning to hurt him, I think is troubling to a lot of Republicans. And, you saw a vote on FISA last night in the House, and I'm not tying it directly to the president's popularity, but you see Republicans going at Republicans in a way that is different than they did before. You're seeing a mix of Republicans, from moderate to very conservative, going at each other in the House of Representatives within their own caucus, and thus defying the president, which you hadn't seen for a long time, and you wouldn't ordinarily see until after a midterm election, when the president is truly a lame duck. So I think this Pope thing is very important in showing that the president really ran into something that he didn't want to do, a buzzsaw he didn't anticipate, and doubling down didn't help at all either. And then, cast that in the shadow of Viktor Orban losing in Hungary. Well, no Americans really of the voting public are paying great attention to that, but the fallibility of a dictator-like leader in a way that Trump has tried to be with all his executive orders, I think is sobering to a president and creates a desperate man too. So I think there are a lot of problems.
The government is trying to extend its powers as a surveillance state. These are warrantless surveillance powers. There was an extension that they snuck through last night. And I'm wondering if you could speak to this. This is, again, there was a demand for the extension to be 18 months. I think it's only been extended for a shorter time now. But
they were demanding 5 years, Mark. They
wanted originally, and then it was a real negotiation, yeah. But now they've gotten a short extension on it. I'm wondering if because it sort of, sadly, it takes a back burner status because of Iran and all the other stuff that's going on. But to me, it's deeply disturbing. I wonder if you could give me a minute on this, please, Mo.
Well, I look at it differently. I look at it as more of desperation, how they had to sneak it through, that Mike Johnson doesn't have control of his own conference in a way that he did maybe 6 months ago. And going back to something Michael said, which was so insightful, if you look at what Joe Rogan is doing, and all this is tied together. If you take Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly and Alex Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're creating this permission structure where Republicans can push back against Republicans, and they have this sense of cover where they're not on this island and the president can't attack him or her alone. And so you're seeing this cacophony, this growing cacophony of voices who are willing to criticize him out loud. It makes Mike Johnson, coming back to Mike Johnson, his job much more difficult in the waning months of this year. And it makes it more difficult for the Republicans to get anything done. And it makes it more difficult for ICE to go out there and act with impunity and not have the same type of Republican support that it enjoyed 6 months ago. So all these things kind of work together. And I see a Mike Johnson who is struggling to keep his own conference together with whatever priority, whatever he's trying to sneak through.
Yeah, they are struggling to get this through, although it does appear that they want it badly. Trump, as you were saying, wants it for a longer period of time. This is, again, the warrantless surveillance. Give me a moment on that, please, Michael.
Well, it's something that the president has made a priority, which Freedom Caucus Republicans had made a priority for quite a while. And then, as Mo said, that there's this, and cacophony is the best word for it. There's just this chaos that didn't exist. And Mike Johnson never had a blank check because he never has had a very big majority. But these sorts of things, when you have the House, you have the Senate, and you have the White House, and you are consistently having to settle for Plan B, that is not a good place to be. And if what they want to tout in order to remain in power are the accomplishments of the House, the accomplishments of the Senate and the administration, they are constantly running into a wall on that. And so this is an example of that. While yes, it does extend FISA and people have a problem with FISA, the Senate took it up, sent it right to the president's desk, this Plan B, and the president will presumably sign it because there's nothing better out there. If he doesn't, then it's going to create greater strife in the Republican caucus in the Congress. But when you have that going on, you're not able to talk about anything that you may be able to spin as a victory, whether it's the war, whether it's the Pope, whether it's defeat on the House floor. You're not able to say, well, we did do the big, beautiful bill, and look, tax day passed. And if there was ever a day that this Republican Party could celebrate in any way, that this Congress and this administration could celebrate, it would be on tax day, when Americans, many of them, had to pay less in tax, right? But that didn't happen because they were so mired in the negotiating a war, negotiating through their own divisions, and then again you have the Pope.
Yeah, and to be fair, they tried to do the victory lap on taxes. They tried to get out there, get all the usual suspects out to all the usual media outposts, but they couldn't do it for the reasons that you suggested. It's subsumed in all this other stuff that's going on.
When your MO is to, and not Mo, but your MO is to distract from, and by creating chaos. Well, you create chaos at times also. That chaos works against you when there's actually, a reason to tout what you've done. And they're unable to do that.
Sure. And a footnote to the savings you get in taxes, it's eaten up by all of the gas prices. I mean,
certainly it is, but that doesn't matter to them, Mark. As you saw the president standing there today, they just say, well, the gas prices are actually low, right? So people, they do smoke and mirrors. But you're absolutely right. And the tax victories are not going to every American, clearly, but there's a way that an administration, and we've seen it many times in the past from both parties, can at least say this is what we're doing and this is why it's a victory. And tax day would have been a perfect day for the Republicans to do that, but they were muted by their own deficiencies.
Oh, sure. And a footnote to all of that, the tax savings, if you will, and I'll put air quotes around it because it's not for everybody, but they were front loaded. So you're going to, the idea was to offer the front loaded tax cuts early so that you could win the midterms, et cetera. And that plan, we know what happened. So
and the tax on tips being that holiday ends in 2028, but the tax on the wealthy is in perpetuity. So
thank you. Exactly. Thank you. So I want to get to Pete Hegseth for a moment because, there's all this stuff I share in the chat all the time. So-and-so's a clear and present danger. RFK Jr. is a clear and present danger. All of Hegseth to me really is that. And if you go back to the origin story of how we got into Iran, you see how, again, Pete Hegseth was really encouraging and was a cheerleader for getting into Iran. So the worst impulses of a paper-thin president when it comes to knowing anything about anything were reinforced by this guy, Pete Hegseth, who is just all bluster and just snorts a kind of aggressive behavior and attitude. And so you add that to the incompetence. I feel like he's clearly a guy in over his head, the racism, the misogyny, all of it. And it's a pretty toxic brew. House Democrats this week introduced 5 articles of impeachment against Secretary Pete Hegseth, accusing him of war crimes in connection with the Iran war, abuse of power, and mishandling of the Department of Defense generally. It's a pretty solid list. And look, I guess is what I'm asking you guys. It's a long shot resolution, but I'm really getting at whether or not this is the kind of discourse you need to have to kind of get it out there and put more pressure on a guy who's already got a lot of pressure on him in Pete Hegseth. Mo?
If past this prologue and we look at what happened with Pam Bondi when she came before Congress and imploded, and how that led to her political demise, then I would agree with you that, yes, the more pressure you put on Pete Hegseth to have to answer for what he's done, more likely he's going to implode. But also bigger picture, as you go towards the midterms, they are priming the pump for what they're going to do, presumably after they regain power in at least the House or the Senate. They are laying the predicate and preparing people that they're going to bring Pete Hegseth before Congress. They're going to impugn his credibility, hopefully impeach him. He probably won't even have his job at that point. But you have to at least demonstrate to the American people and also to the Democratic electorate that you are not just going to lay down and allow the Trump administration to continue unimpeded.
Thought on that, Michael?
Yeah, I think as a campaign tactic, I think Democrats proved in 2024 that you have to stand for more than just being anti-Trump, to what Mo's saying. But at the same time, there is a daily assault on the American people that wasn't happening because Biden was president, and recent memory being pretty powerful. I think that you have to be able to articulate, how fed up you are with the Trump administration, but at the same time say what you would do differently. And I think that you're seeing some of these successes from these House candidates, Mejia in Jersey, who won yesterday, talking about what they're going to do, not just how fed up with what is going on. I think with Hegseth, he's an easy target for a lot of people. He's exactly who Trump wants there because he's the handsome fall guy in his book, right? He's the person that can take the income. And the problem is that there's so much outgoing from Hegseth that it's causing problems for the administration and Republicans as well. And so I agree with Mo that there has to be a comeuppance for this guy. But by the time that happens, if the Democrats can take control of either the House, the Senate, or both, I think Hegseth will have stepped away.
So as they introduce those impeachment resolutions, there is something happening with Trump that is something that I think Democrats didn't even want to get near. And that was an actual discussion of impeachment for the president. And the reason they didn't want to get near it, as you guys know, is because they, had been down that road a couple of times. They felt it might hurt their midterm possibilities. You guys can speak to that better than I in terms of the sort of political impact. But now it's not some left-wing fringe that is suggesting impeachment. There is a solid group of Democrats who are talking impeachment now of the president, and they're talking 25th Amendment, which is not practical. We've discussed that on the show several times. It's really not designed for that kind of removal. But again, I am curious what your notion is about the political impact of this and whether or not it also creates a kind of pressure on Trump of the sort that we were talking about with Pete Hegseth, Mo.
I do believe it may be more symbolic than it is substantive. I don't expect this Republican-led Congress to file articles of impeachment and get the votes to actually bring impeachment to the floor and have him impeached and have a trial in the Senate. I don't believe that. But I do believe that it is a part of a long-term messaging plan to show that this president is unfit to continue as commander-in-chief, which chips away at his overall power. And there's something else I've noticed on the other side of the aisle as far as Republicans. Usually you can say Republicans are pretty consistent in their messaging. And we've shown in this conversation, they missed the opportunity as far as tax day. They've been all over the map with their messaging. It shows to me that there is real rancor and dissension within Republican ranks about how to support this president. So the idea of impeachment, still a not necessarily distinct possibility. It's far off, but it means more now. And I think it has more import now than maybe it did when they impeached him during the first Trump administration, because people, Republicans included, are feeling the lunacy of this man. They are dealing with the consequences of his decisions in ways that I don't think they fully understood during the first administration. Even though we had COVID, they are feeling it more this time around.
Yeah, it's true, Michael, that, you hear Raskin and people who are high-profile Democrats talking about his mental state now in a more, I think, specific way, related to certain kind of lunacy posts, number of lunacy posts. So, again, you can speak to the, I guess the political realities are pretty obvious, but the political realities beyond whether or not you can actually remove the guy, you can speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, Democrats are on a winning streak. Don't go into a loss. The American public does not digest an impeachment that is successful in the House, which I think it's a long shot that it would be, that's successful in the House and that doesn't get a conviction in the Senate, because essentially that means that the person in the eyes and the vernacular of Americans was not impeached, right? Even if you were impeached in the House, it doesn't seem to count. And I think that the Democrats should ride this winning streak that they're on. They have a president back on his heels. They have an administration on its heels. They have exactly what they predicted happening in terms of the cost of living in the United States and the income inequality being more pronounced. And they're winning races throughout the country. They're winning the race to it's cynical to say that money is important, but money is important in politics. They're winning the fundraising. They've got great candidates. I don't, in my opinion think that an impeachment would do much for them in terms of what they need to do. Would it be a nice day or two? Would it be great? And would it feel good to hold some of these people, and especially the president, accountable? But I don't think that's the way to go here. I think if you want to win control and you want to get America sort of steered in the direction that you propose, do it with policy and do it at the ballot box, and don't do it with that stuff.
Just as we're talking impeachment, as a footnote to that, Tulsi Gabbard apparently has sent criminal referrals to the DOJ for 2 people linked to Trump's impeachment, involving the Ukraine call and the whistleblower. And there hasn't been the whistleblower hasn't been ID'd, but you see how they close ranks around those who were involved in that impeachment. Before I leave you guys, I wanted to give you the little morsel for the week, which is Pete Hegseth quoting scripture that I guess was sort of paralleling Pulp Fiction. Albert, can you play with, there's sort of a side-by-side here that gives you a sense of it.
So the prayer is CSAR 25:17, and it reads, and pray with me, please. The path of the downed aviator is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of camaraderie and duty, shepherd the lost through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to capture and destroy my brother. And you will know my call sign is Sandy 1 when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Yeah.
And pray with me is my favorite part of that.
Yes.
And pray with me.
He is just, you called him, I thought, so beautifully. There he is on Sam Jackson's body. I think, Michael, you called him a performance artist, and that's really what he is.
No, there's no question. And by the way, he fell for it too. I mean, I don't think aviators were referred to in scripture anywhere, because aviation hadn't happened really. I mean, maybe Daedalus and Icarus, but that's it. And so it's a gift, right? This stuff is just a gift.
It just exposes him, Mo. It just exposes the one-dimensional aspect of who he is.
But it's in the same news cycle as the president having this battle with the Pope as far as who is more in alignment with the Bible. And then you have Pete Hegseth out there, he's saying, pray with me. The heresy is on high this week.
Yeah, that is such a great point. And not to mention that Mike Johnson comes out and says that, the Pope needs to read up on theology. He's the Pope. He's the Pope.
Oh, man, it's so true. All right, love you guys. Have a good weekend. Always appreciate you being here. Michael Shure and Mo Kelly, everybody.
Do I get Albert
is on high.
Mark, do I get Albert for 48 seconds?
Albert, Michael wants 48 seconds of sports.
It is the Stanley Cup playoffs, Mark and Mo, begin tomorrow, and I think Albert and I need to spend a second.
All right. Well, Mo can actually sidle up to the bar on this one too. I'll be in the background. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Mark, actually, you could leave. That would be fine. So Albert, who are gonna be the two? What's the biggest upset in the first round? Who are your Stanley Cup finalists? Who wins the Conn Smythe? Boom.
Oh, there's so many questions there. I think
who wins the what?
Conn Smythe Trophy.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Mark, come on. Okay,
go ahead, Albert.
Oh, I don't know. You put me on the spot here. I like the Canadians against the Lightning in the first round.
That's big upset. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge upset. And then I don't know. You kind of go. I have to go with my gut feeling. We're on the same page here. The Sabres haven't made the playoffs in the longest time until this season. They're having a magical run, so I'm going to put all my eggs in that basket.
Beautiful. And they're going to play. Who are they going to play in the Pacific in the finals?
Kings.
Oh wow! Look at that. The Kings.
Well, the Kings did. The Kings did luck out this season not playing the Oilers, but I'm gonna pick the Oilers. I want the Oilers to. I want to see Connor McDavid.
Sabres, Oilers, and McDavid wins it. Okay, Mo.
Yeah. Wow. Great, Michael. Thank you as always.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me finish for bringing the show down. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's good. Look at the views just spiked.
All right. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Michael. We'll see you guys soon. See you next week. Michael Shure and Mo Kelly, everybody. Yeah.
I've told you it's never easy being in this business.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Right on, everybody. Smash the like button if you would. It helps us in the world of YouTube. We are independent media. We're completely dependent on your donations, honestly. Patreon and PayPal is the best way to support this show. There are people who do it every month. You can do it too. Click through under this video. Under all our videos, there are Patreon and PayPal click-throughs, and you can do it. If you want to old school us a check, some people have done that, which is kind of cool.
What?
I know. Don't trust the internet. I don't blame you. I mean, internet can be a little bit, might feel like exposed.
How does the internet work?
Exactly. So send us an email, themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com, and I will send you the snail mail address for the mothership, and you can send it to us that way. Otherwise, there are also channel memberships. You can join as a shadow cabinet member, or you can join as a deep stater. And if you join as a deep stater, there are certain perks, I guess I'd call them. And if you are already on Patreon or PayPal and you're contributing at that deep stater level already every month, then we'll make sure that we take care of you along the same lines. In fact, that's the reason the whole thing is so hard, because we're trying to include all those people who have been our supporters for so very long. And the last thing I'll say about that is at the end of every show, we do post the names of everyone who's in the Patreon and PayPal community. And we do that because, I mean, truly, could not do the show without all of you. I say it all the time. I say, generally I say something like this. I say, the only reason my show's on the air is because of 600 generous people. Mm-hmm. So doesn't matter how many hundreds of thousands of subs we have. I'm really happy that our subscriptions, our followers have grown in number. But without you 600, we wouldn't be here. So thank you for all you do. Now, I've got Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, coming up, but I did want to spend a moment with Christy from Sweet 106 Bakery. But before I do that, I wanted to quickly get
your comments
in. Don't you think, Albert? Got to get them.
Some comments. We also have Florida coming up, so right after Christy, we could get to Florida.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Chaplain Fred, hello, everyone. Due to our fearless leader, all my patients are out of hospice care because due to Trump wanting all the Medicare money. My employees and I are out of work. Reps told us to have our patients go to the hospital for care. Oh, this is a serious, I thought he was joking. Sometimes Chaplain Fred is joking.
Mm-mm.
Because of Trump, he says, our fearless leader, all my patients are out of hospice care. Due to Trump wanting all Medicare money, my employees and I are out of work. Reps told us to have our patients go to hospital for care. Wow, that is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Man. I don't know what to say about that, except for America is broken, and there's a real attempt to break it more. And you've just described one of the ways in which it is broken. Really sorry to hear this. That's deeply disturbing. So, Richard Delamater said, ready? Mark is a genius from the future, folks. Yeah, I mean, thank you. Thank you for recognizing it, Richard. You're one of the few people who really gets that I'm a genius from the future. Love this show more. What is this, Albert? What is this?
Love this show more than drinking, says Dan Silva.
Oh, more than drinking. Okay.
Might have been a little drunk there sending that super chat. Thank you. Dan.
Yeah. Drinking and typing can be challenging.
Dan Sylvia, he gets it too. No audit, no money for the Department of War. No more lobsters for Hegseth, says Vilma Devlin. Yeah, I agree with you. Well, you know how I feel about this. Vilma's an OG of this show.
Big shout out.
But the Pentagon is just it is a cauldron of waste. It is an absolute waterfall of waste. And the idea, the gall, that you could ask for $1.5 trillion as a military budget, it is disgusting. It literally should nauseate everybody. I can't believe they asked for it with a straight face.
Well, you cut hospice care for Medicare patients, right?
Yeah, thank you. In the same breath that you ask for $1.5 trillion for the military. And as I've said before, most of it doesn't even leave the Beltway. It stays in there with all those defense contractors just shifting it back and forth. It's an embarrassment. We should be embarrassed. I am embarrassed as Americans for the way we shove money, good money after bad, into the Pentagon. Happy Friday, America, says Glenn B.
Big shout out.
Yeah, big shout out from Australia. Glenn's our big Australian outpost down there. It's the middle of the night, like early in the morning where he's watching and listening.
Like 4:30 a.m.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's on that schedule.
Tomorrow, 4:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Tomorrow already.
Mm-hmm.
CC
Things are
Ryder.
upside down over there. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on down under.
There's never been anything like this.
Just wait for it. Trump will be presented with the Strait of Hormuz Freedom Award. Oh, I love it.
I've never seen anything like it.
I'm just going to remain on wandering wastrel status, says Michael Reich. What is wandering wastrel status, Kim?
I don't know the answer. I don't know what a wastrel is. Wastrel?
Do you know what it is?
Wastrel.
Yeah, hang on. Oh, wastrel.
Yeah, it's someone who fritters away their life.
I see. Oh, that's good.
I'm a bit of a wastrel.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. I didn't know it. Snyder's just so well. Sorry, Michael Reich. I didn't get that. I really appreciate it. By the way, before I move past this, look how much money he put on with his.
Very specific.
2734.
What is that 2734? Is there significance to that, Michael Snyder?
I think it's the year from that song, that sci-fi themed song about, we're going to be in a glass tube. Is
it in the year 2525 when if man is still alive?
That's the one.
The Zager and Evans song?
Yeah, Zager and Evans. Thank you, Casey Kasem.
Yeah, I'm Casey in Hollywood.
This is Casey Kasem in Hollywood.
And I'll tell you the Zager and Evans with Michael Reich in 2734. Yeah.
Nerd alert.
Mm-hmm. I know a few things. Only a few, sadly. All right.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
We're at a fork. I'm surprised Hegseth didn't say anything about snakes on a plane. That may be my favorite comment of the day. Yeah. That's from Cameo. I love that. Thank you, Cameo. Really, really cool. All right. I've got a fork in the road here, Albert, and I want you to tell me, because you are the producer of this show, what you think I should do. And I think
I have a couple options. We could do Florida right now and get into Snyder, and then we could end this thing with Christie, if you would like.
I love that idea.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
I'd like to do Florida, then Christie, and then Snyder.
Okay.
Do that?
I like that.
All right. That is how we will go. So everybody in your hymnals, please turn to the Florida pages. Snyder, you can don't look at the time. That is disgusting what you're doing. You know what, Michael? I'm offended by that.
No, I want to look at my phone so I can actually enjoy the mug shots, Mark. Okay. I'm not checking the time.
Okay, all right. I'm.
Would you like to apologize for what you've done?
I do want to apologize. My bad.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Florida time, buddy.
I stand corrected.
I stand corrected. All right. So now, without any further delay. Although I do love lashing out at Snyder like that, Albert. Makes me feel, makes me feel more powerful.
I don't roll over and take it, do I, Mark?
No, you do not. You punch back. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
A Florida man is caught hauling over 2,000 pounds of marijuana on
Where are my weed smokers at?
What?
Wow.
Oh, my God. This
Anybody
is
been a
brilliant. A Florida man was found traveling with over 2,000 pounds of marijuana on I-75 in Sumter County.
I've never seen anything like it.
It's pretty amazing. It is an extraordinary amount of
I have never heard of something like that.
I know.
Was he driving a semi-truck?
It's insane. Look at all that pot.
How do you fit that into a regular vehicle?
That's real.
That's got to be some kind of record.
It had to be a truck or like a U-Haul or something.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess it's illegal to to haul that much. They have a picture of the haul with the canine that sniffed it out. The canine is Lobo. And I would normally, I'm very impressed by the canine's ability to sniff out drugs. But once you get to 2,000 pounds, I'm thinking it's a little easier.
Right. That dog could have had some sort of stuffed nose and still picked
I think you or I could have sniffed it out. Exactly.
Yeah. So, the dog probably sniffed it like a couple counties over. And
that's right. That dog actually was sleeping in another county and all of a sudden stirred and they went and made the bust. Anyway, that guy could... Well, he has some explaining to do. A Florida man is accused of taking a brand new Porsche that he was hired to deliver on a joyride.
Yeah.
Lee Acres, Florida. Yeah. It was a routine vehicle shipment. It took a wild turn when this guy was arrested after deputies say he ditched his own car and took a customer's brand new 2026 Porsche for a spin.
Look at that hot rod. How can you help it?
Instead of delivering it to the Midwest, he took it out for a ride himself first.
Let's see how fast that baby goes.
It was hired by this transport company, the guy who was getting it delivered. So you hire this delivery company, and it was to be delivered to Michigan. But despite the company claiming the crew had been stopped by the cops after 2 days, the guy who was supposed to get the delivery noticed live tracking updates showing something unsettling, and that is his Porsche was sitting in a trailer. It wasn't sitting in a trailer, I should say. It was moving. He's supposed to be slowly transported there. Instead, it was being quickly transported as he was having the time of his life in that red Porsche. His booking photo is not super flattering, I'll say. Detectives said they later found the trailer and the victim's 2 scooters all intact. He ordered 2 scooters to be delivered along with the Porsche. And then ultimately, they were returned to the owner. And finally, a woman survives a rollover crash after hitting a 9-foot gator on a Sarasota County road.
She hit the gator with her car?
Yeah, Easter Sunday it happened.
I'm going to show you the picture. It looks like the gator won because the car looks like...
Oh, God.
Wow.
Did she walk away from that crash?
She did.
Jesus.
She said, I thought I hit something and blew a tire just because it ripped my car off the road. I was just praying. It was Easter Sunday, so you're probably in a prayerful way anyway. I was just praying that somebody would see me. Obviously, I saw lights go by, so I thought I was behind a bush or something. I didn't know where I ended up. I was crushed between the roof and the steering wheel, she said.
Wow.
Yeah. Passersby called 911. And ultimately, she was transported, having survived the crash, and she has to wear a brace for 4 to 6 weeks, but she's expected to make a full recovery.
People want to know how you miss a 9-foot gator in the road.
Yeah, it is. That is. She does have some explaining to do there as well. I don't know.
They are low to the ground, Mark.
That is true. That's a very good point. The Culture Blaster makes a good point. Anyway, we have to pick a favorite among these 3, and we don't want to. It's just what we have to do. It's in bylaws of the program. Florida man caught hauling over 2,000 pounds of marijuana. Is our first story. The Florida man accused of taking a brand new Porsche, or is it Porsche? What is it, Culture Blaster? Porsche. He was hired to deliver. Instead of delivering, he took it on a joyride. And finally, the woman surviving a rollover crash after hitting a 9-foot gator on the Sarasota County road. We have to pick a favorite. What seems to be your favorite, Culture Blaster?
It's Friday, Fabulous Florida. There's been a lack of gators over the past couple of months. So I want to say the gator, but the sheer volume of marijuana transported is so massive. And also, you talk sometimes about booking photos, whatever. The picture of the dog that sniffed it out is so adorable. What an adorable police dog. I got to go with the dope and the dog.
Yeah. The dope and the dog goes with the culture blaster. How about you, Kim?
I'm going Gator all the way. Full on Gator. That car is munched. A lot of people in the chat want to know, did the Gator make it out? Did the Gator live?
There's no update to that story.
Yeah, we don't have any information on that. We'd like to think in the movie version that the alligator is fine and has been transported to a
kind of crawled away.
Yeah, to a safe refuge where he or she is living it up in in a swamp somewhere. But sadly, I suspect it didn't end up that way. Rollover Gator. A lot of people. Sandra Thomas likes that. Yeah, Gator Nation says, Joseda, Mike and Willow Glen, that drug-sniffing dog may want to check out that Gator car.
Yeah, what's in there?
It is true that it's odd that she could, but as Michael says, it's a, low to the ground, the Gator. So Easter Sunday, that's a brutal, that's a bad beat, as we say.
This is a word from the Lord, and he's not happy.
Both Giant Cannabis Hall and, I missed the rest of it, but both Giant Cannabis Hall and Gator car wreck. Yeah, it's a photo finish, Cassandra. You're not wrong. Rollover Gator. All right, so, and was there one decisive? It seems like the Gator.
I think the Gator.
People like their
Gators.
Gators.
It looked like the Gator won, though. Just that
people
car
have been
would look terrible.
People have been Gator starved here at Friday. Fabulous Florida.
During the winter, the Gators are hibernating or whatever. That's why you don't hear Gator stuff. But you're going to get a lot more Gator stuff in the weeks to come. Yes, Kim. Sorry.
We're just getting our Gators back. We have
getting our Gator on, man. That's Friday, Fabulous Florida.
This has been Friday, Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
The Mark Thompson Show. Mother's Day is coming, and there's no better person to speak with about Mother's Day than Christy from Sweet 106 Bakery. I know. I've kind of fallen in love with everything that you produce there at Sweet 106. So I've also invited Courtney to join me.
Yeah.
And Tony's in the background.
Hi, I know. It's really the only time I participate in the show is related to Christy.
But I mean, it really is. It's something special. I mean, a lot of our listeners and viewers have really grown attached to the Sweet 106 layered cupcakes. And so Mother's Day is coming, and I know you have special offers and ways in which moms can enjoy. You've got gift cards, you've got special bundles. So speak to those, and Tony will try to find the appropriate visuals from the website, sweet106bakery.com. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we wanted to create something for a Mother's Day. I think this is actually my favorite flavor so far that we've created. So for Mother's Day, I think it's just not only something that is a holiday, but it's something to celebrate mothers that raised us and showed us so much love. So we wanted to create something really thoughtful and beautiful for them this year. So first we have our lovely lemon. Our lovely lemon cupcake is a really fragrant lemon cake made with real lemons. It's then topped with a lemon cream cheese frosting, which is my personal favorite. And then it's got a thin layer of lemon curd. And then those are the layers throughout the cake. And it's topped with a beautiful pink royal icing flour. I think it is a really great touch. It's a pretty piece. You can order it on its own, or you can order it in a bundle. We have 2 different types of bundles, or you can make your own bundle. We have our Mother's Day bundle in our pint size and our 8-ounce size, our mini size. So it's a really beautiful cake. It's got beautifully packaging, and I think it's perfect for Mother's Day.
Yeah, it's really pretty. You're right. A lot of your stuff, it has really great sort of a visual component that's so
such
pretty.
A nice seasonal flavor.
Yeah, that's nice. So true. Yeah. I didn't realize that Christy had done special flavors for Mother's Day.
Yeah, we do. And then next we have our raspberry fudge dream, which is a Belgian fudge cake. It is then topped with chocolate fudge, a thin layer of raspberry preserves and topped again with a fresh raspberry fluffy buttercream made with real raspberries, and those are going to be your layers throughout the cake. And then it is topped with a drizzle of chocolate. So this is another pretty one. It's got pretty packaging. It's great if you order it on its own, or if you put it in a bundle or make your own bundle. It's there for you. It's perfect for Mother's Day. And the combinations of flavors with the fruit and the Belgian chocolate, I think it's one of my personal favorites. And you get that sweet tartness of the raspberry preserves. It's a perfect combination if you're into chocolate.
This is why you won Cupcake Wars twice, because of this stuff.
It's fantastic.
I mean, I don't even know how to react. Yeah. It's incredible.
And then this is, our strawberry heaven it's always a big hit. So we decided to make a chocolate dipped strawberry cake, which is our world famous strawberry cake made with real strawberries, as you can see. And it's topped with a strawberry frosting, and then another chocolate cake and chocolate frosting, and more strawberry cake and more strawberry frosting. And then on top, it has that chocolate that you dip the chocolate dipped strawberries in, and it's topped with that and some Belgian sprinkles. And those flavors, the chocolate and the strawberry cake together, it's so delicious.
It was great. I loved it.
I mean, I don't know a better gift.
Yeah,
I would be hard pressed.
As I always say, just fill a bathtub with all of this and let me eat my way out. So for Mother's Day, there are also Mother's Day cards, and we're almost out of time, but I just wanted to make sure that there are gift cards that you are also offering.
You can add a Mother's Day card to any of your orders. If you order one or a bundle, you can order any different types of Mother's Day card, which is carefully packaged inside of your box and sent to Mom, and she would really appreciate it if she opened up and seen one of those cards. So you can add those cards to anything that you purchase.
I love it.
I know, it's so great. And so you can buy now or pre-order, as we mentioned, but all orders for Mother's Day need to be in by May 4th, right?
Right. All orders we ask to have it in by May 4th, so it could be to you in time for Mother's Day. Everyone out of state or in state, make sure you order by May 4th so you can guarantee your Mother's Day order by Mother's Day.
Yeah, Christy's in California. That's the state she's talking about. But
Yes,
May 4th, Southern California is your pre-order date. May 4th for Mother's Day. So excited for you. I love our partnership. And I'll just mention again, go to the website, sweet106bakery.com. Use our discount code, MarkT, and you'll get 15% off.
Yes,
So,
and really quick, I also, the community has been so wonderful, but we've got a couple of people that order more than 7 and 8 times. I think we've got Steve B out of Pennsylvania and Robin W out of Oakland and so many others. We want to do something special for supporting the Mark T Show and Sweet 106. So throughout the whole month of May, we're going to be sending out gifts to people that order more than 7 and 8 times. So we really want to let you know that we appreciate all the love that you are showing to us.
That is super
incredible.
cool. I didn't know about that. That's really great. Well, I mean, they wouldn't be ordering so much if it weren't so delicious. So, I don't think it's charity. Sweet106bakery.com. Again, use our discount code MarkT for 15% off. And there's a link, and I think the link under this video populates already with the discount in case you, you forget what it is. Christy, you know how we feel about you and your magnificence there at Sweet 106 Bakery. Congratulations. Have a great Mother's Day, and we'll mention it, again. So we'll remind people May 4th is the cutoff date.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Thank you, Christy.
Yeah.
Thank
Appreciate
you, Courtney.
you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you guys.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Happy Mother's Day.
The Mark Thompson Show. And now, without any further delay, although it's so much fun to delay, here he is on Fridays. We check in with the world of entertainment, streaming, the silver screen. Do they still call it the silver screen, Michael, or not?
It depends on your LED.
It depends on the LED, yeah. He comes and goes on a rainbow. He is the the brilliant culture blaster, Michael Snyder, everybody. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Mark, lovely to be back. Glad you're back. I mean, I really enjoy hanging out with Michael Shure or Mo when they join Kim in your absence. But to quote the Dobie Gray 1964 hit, the in crowd, the original is still the greatest.
Oh, you're so sweet. It's nice to see you in person always.
Speaking of persons, I'm always amazed at the new ways the commander in beef can humiliate himself and our country on the world stage, although his latest stupid move was actually adapted from the legendary Muhammad Ali's boxing strategy. I'm talking about the Pope-a-dope, and in this case, we know who the real dope is. Yikes, oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly.
How are we living through this? I mean, I'm glad we're still alive, but, it's touch and go here. Before we get to the movie reviews proper and talk a little bit about television shows and what have you, this weekend, I am in Los Angeles, as evidenced by the care package of mandarin oranges and lemons that I left in your
nice.
kitchen.
He actually brought to the green room, mandarin oranges and lemons, which is really cool.
From my own personal orchard, Mark.
Thank
you. But
sir.
anyway, I am a San Franciscan. I still have a place there. And this weekend, the Balboa Theater, the venerable San Francisco Movie House at 3630 Balboa in the outer Richmond, will be celebrating its 100th anniversary.
Wow, that is cool.
And tonight it's
venerable is a big word.
It is. Business as usual tonight with showings of Ron Howard's Cocoon, the sci-fi fable about retirees. Francis Ford Coppola's 74 crime drama, The Conversation with Gene Hackman, and The Fugitive starring Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. But tomorrow, starting at 5 p.m., the Cinema SF Gang is going to be officially celebrating that 100th anniversary. And the festivities will commence at 6 with the unveiling of a tile mural under the marquee. And then you can choose from American Graffiti, a very San Francisco coded, or Invasion of the Body Snatchers, also the remake, also SF coded, to see. And there'll be an award for the first annual Balboa Award. And it's a fundraising event. You can check out ticket access and what have you at cinemasfbay.org.
That's very cool. Michael, with a tip of the hat to his roots in San Francisco at that classic theater. And some classic films.
Right, and Sunday, if you're in the neighborhood, free movies, Star Wars Return of the Jedi or Rent.
Wow.
There's a lineup for people who haven't already gotten the passes.
There it is. Albert has it up on screen now.
I just had to do it, man. We do have a large listenership in the Bay Area, and
we do.
We should acknowledge them.
That is really cool. Isn't it weird, too, everybody? You're going to be able to get this, Michael, what I'm about to say. I know you just feel like I'm talking, interrupting your little segment where you just prattle on, and like I have to just stand out of the way. I'm trying to augment and add, and I just want to comment on the fact that all of these films that I grew up with are now like throwback classic movies. It's a weird, I'm wrestling with the fact that I'm close to the end.
Hey, and is that the end of the film or the
end of my personal film, the life film?
Let it keep spooling. Okay, let's get to movies. Let's get to new movies. Right. And when I say new movies, you can shrug at what I'm starting off with. I did a column in the Voice of San Francisco about characters and properties, literary and otherwise, that are in the public domain, like The Mummy and Frankenstein's Monster and Dracula and Robin Hood and especially Sherlock Holmes these days. They're all fair game for exploitation in multiple media because all the characters are in the public domain. So we get all these films and TV shows with variations of them, and nobody has to pay the creators, quote unquote, or the creators are whoever has decided to develop these new versions of the characters. And now we have Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Oh, yes.
Which concerns the young kidnapped daughter of an American TV journalist in Cairo getting caught up in some ancient Egyptian hoodoo.
Oh, my God. That's the poster, the online. We're showing it. That's the movie poster?
Yeah,
Jesus, frightening.
You don't like that. You don't like that horror stuff.
No, I don't like that screaming horror
I think if you went to
stuff.
this movie, Mark, you'd be crying for your mummy. You'd be like, Jesus. Mummy. Anyway.
The image is hideous. Yes.
I know. So this heartbroken journalist, his wife and son returned to the U.S. without the missing girl. And then 8 years later, authorities in Egypt say hey, we found the girl alive.
Wait a minute. There was a member of their family missing and they just returned without her?
Well, they wait for a while. I'm sorry. We do a little bit of shorthand in the movies.
We gave her an hour.
8 years later. I mean, she disappears. They do acknowledge that it's 8 years later. And you see them, they're back at their home.
So they've been mourning in the despondence of losing there. Okay.
Trust me, tears were flowing.
Okay.
And,
I'm bad.
anyway,
I'm sorry.
They're back in New Mexico, and they apparently the Egyptians say they found the girl.
Okay.
So the now teenage daughter, a little worse for wear, joins the family, and there's now a second daughter of elementary school age there. So there's 3 kids.
Yes.
And this is, woohoo! They should be celebrating, but the girl has become kind of a cross between the possessed Regan in The Exorcist and kind of Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God! So Dad, played by Jack Rayner of Midsummer and Sing Street, and Mom, played by Leia Costa, are understandably freaked out at what's happened to their daughter, and things spiral into even more nightmarish awfulness from there. You see the influence of movie horror meister Sam Raimi on director and screenwriter Cronin, because after all, Cronin wrote and directed Evil Dead Rise, which is a kind of a balls-to-the-wall continuation of Raimi's Evil Dead franchise. That's kind of a positive for a movie like The Mummy, and the Egyptian setting of the first act of this Mummy and the callbacks are intriguing. Ultimately, it's a competent, creepy, and squishy horror movie that's somewhat adjacent to the classic Universal Pictures Mummy, but not as murky, and certainly not as fun and swaggering as the reboot with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. There's a Mummy to enjoy over and over again.
What was the original premise behind The Mummy?
The archaeologists unearth a mummy in a tomb, and it's a cursed tomb, and they bring the mummy out. They're going to put it on display in some kind of museum.
And it comes to life?
And it comes to life because it has
right.
an axe to grind.
So this is it comes back with an attitude?
With a major-tude.
So this is different, though. This is clearly the girl is possessed, you're saying, by someone with the mummy?
I don't want to get into great depth on this beyond what we've already done. And I will say points are deducted for the obvious swipes and derivative elements. I mean, I was literally waiting for Mummy Girl to start whining about her precious. And
it was you're saying it looked too much like Lord of the Rings.
There was a Gollum vibe there. Okay. And also, right. I waited for her head to turn 360 degrees after vomiting. There are considerable globs and gusts of viscera, and despite, or perhaps because of it being part of
viscera's a ding word.
Raimi's Evil Dead universe, this Evil Dead Rise that Cronin did was better and more inventive than this. But I was I'd say I was glued to the screen for Cronin's The Mummy, although that might have been all the goo splashing around up there. For horror film buffs, this is worth a look. If you keep your expectations low, it's
What else do you have, Culture Blaster?
I have something else for you, my friend, and I can give it, unlike The Mummy, wholehearted endorsement.
Wow, I'm excited. What is it?
Normal is a wild, funny shoot-'em-up that solidifies Bob Odenkirk, who's done dramatic work in Nebraska and Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, as an action movie star. But let's be honest, his turn as the retired assassin forced back into the game in Nobody and Nobody 2 already sealed that deal.
Right.
So it needs to be noted that Odenkirk's career kicked off as a sketch comedian alongside David Cross on HBO's Mr. Show.
It was brilliant. Loved it. Still watch it all the time.
With his comedy background and his kind of, I'd call it a beleaguered, ordinary dweeb look, he always brings this kind of dryly amusing air to his roles, even to some extent the dramatic ones. And here he's Ulysses, an interim sheriff in the quiet, seemingly upstanding Midwestern town of Normal. That's the name of the town.
Sure.
So his marriage is on the rocks. He had an unfortunate situation at his previous job, and that's haunting him. So Ulysses is happy for the peace and quiet that Normal provides, but a bank robbery throws all that out the window when the town is revealed to not be what it seems, and Normal's unexpected visitors wreak havoc on the place. As
so he's a good guy then here as a sheriff?
He's a decent guy. He's not a villain.
Oh, so he's not a villain because he was a villain in the original action film that you
No,
referenced.
in Nobody, he's just an assassin. That doesn't mean he's necessary. He was working for the government, Mark. Are you going to start arguing with Pete Hegseth about
You're right.
the decency
He's just killing people for the government.
The Department of Defense? Come on now. So anyway, this gets outlandish, and there's kind of cartoon-level violence, death, and destruction in full effect. but Normal is well written by Odenkirk himself and Derek Kolstad, and really well directed by Great Britain's Ben Wheatley, who's made some really trippy, darkly amusing movies that I am particularly fond of, including Free Fire, Kill List, and Sightseers. And the supporting cast is super, with familiar face Lena Headey as kind of a punky local merchant. And, oh my God, Henry Winkler as the glad-handing mayor. There's kind of a nice subtext about the false front some middle Americans put up to hide their true selves.
You know how old Henry Winkler is now?
Oldish. Let's not do a quiz, Mark.
Well, I know. I don't want to introduce, but you want to take a guess? I think it must be 80.
He's pushing 80, and he's as vital and entertaining
is 80, exactly.
as ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, Odenkirk's,
you like him here. Okay, go ahead.
Odenkirk's flawed but decent sheriff is caught in the middle of this mess, and he's someone who deserves your rooting interest. Bangs, booms, and body count notwithstanding, Normal is a blast, and it is in theaters.
Great. In theaters. What else do you have?
Okay. Screenwriter-director David Lowery has made this mix of interpersonal drama and kind of dreamscapes, paranormal weirdness, and arena pop music called Mother Mary, and it stars Anne Hathaway, and she is electric as this pop music megastar, Mother Mary, who's sort of a Lady Gaga Madonna mashup with the wardrobe, as my friend Jill pointed out, the wardrobe of Dua Lipa. Anyway, in case you never saw Hathaway in the 2012 movie adaptation of the musical Les Mis, she can sing, and she does so here beautifully. And her Mother Mary character is at a crossroads in her career. She's experienced some serious mental and physical trauma and dropped out. And she seeks out her long estranged bestie, Sam, played by Michaela Cole, who was so good opposite Ian McKellen in The Christophers. Sam is a successful clothing designer who used to do Mary's stage costumes, but they had a falling out. So Mary uses the pretext of needing a special gown for her comeback concert to see Sam again, but the reunion is much more wrenching than a simple fitting for a new dress. Old wounds resurface. I mean, literally, ghostly apparitions torment the two women. You know, the movie seems to be concerned with long simmering resentment and maybe the search for forgiveness, and it suffers from a certain sketchiness to the backstory of the relationship between the women, but the art direction, cinematography, and music are lovely, and the performances by Hathaway and Cole are so compelling that they almost elevate the whole thing. By the way, Hathaway's extravagantly staged and shot musical numbers are written by singer-songwriters Charlie XCX and FKA Twigs and producer Jack Antonoff, and they slay. Antonoff is Taylor Swift's go-to producer. So, this is good stuff in that regard. Members of Mary's girl gang are played by, among others, Hunter Schafer from Euphoria, Kaya Gerber, Jessica Brown Finley from Downton Abbey, and FKA Twigs. In fact, I don't believe a man has a single line of dialogue in the entire film, which is kind of strange.
What?
Yeah, there's no male dialogue. There are male dancers, but nobody says anything. It's just about the women. Lowery,
I thought you said that she seeks out this guy, Sam.
That's a woman. Michaela Cole played her.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, my God, Mark.
I don't know. How many said Sam?
Samantha.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
Anyway,
My bad. I'm sorry.
Lowery
previously
wrote and directed The Green Knight, The Old Man and the Gun, and Ghost Story, all of which were good. So I want to give him leeway. Mother Mary isn't as satisfying as those movies. It's an interesting experiment that falters as a coherent narrative. It's in select theaters.
She's great, though, that Anne Hathaway.
Oh, my God.
As you say, she's a great singer.
How
old is Anne Hathaway, Mike? You guessed Henry Winkler correctly.
42 or 43.
43. God, you are on a hot streak. Very well done. Go ahead.
I do what I got to do. Okay, this is another movie like Normal, but so radically different, but like Normal that I can wholeheartedly endorse. It's called Amram, and it's directed by the award-winning Turkish-German filmmaker Fatih Akin, and it's based on a true story, which is adapted from the childhood of Akin's co-writer of the film, a German director and author named Hark Bohm, and it's about his experiences living on the German island of Amram, which is in the North Sea, in the final months of World War II. So the focus is on this kid, a 12-year-old named Nanning, and he's kind of, I guess, the fictionalized version of Hark Bohm, and things are changing all around him. His mom is kind of a Nazi supporter, and she's kind of depressed because dad has been captured by the Brits, and she sees Hitler's control is slipping away, et cetera, et cetera. And honestly, this is beautiful stuff. You see the daily ministrations of trying to live on this island, which incidentally is a longtime whaling community, and the kid actors are really wonderful. They're fishing for food, and actually the most familiar actor in the entire thing is Diane Kruger, who plays a local woman running a farm and trying to keep the island fed, and she's accused of being a traitor because she's grateful that the war is about to end. It's kind of intriguing in that regard. And by the way, I have to say the kids, I don't know what they're going to do professionally down the road, but the young children that play, I guess his name again is Nanning, which is a name I'm not really familiar with, and his best friend, they're really wonderful. Amram is in select theaters.
And it's in German, of course.
It is in German with subtitles. And you know what? It made me think
with
about...
Nazi subtitles?
No.
Well, he played the Nazi mom.
Jojo Dancer was a movie that also kind of dealt with a kid's view of World War II.
Oh, sure.
This is kind of, I think, a better... and I loved it.
Oh, better than that?
It is, but
that was a really good movie.
It's a more serious film, and it's a more gentle film.
I'm intrigued by this, Amram. I like Germany, and the Germans have, in my view, Michael, I don't mean to be political.
You do you.
But they've handled the post-World War II period responsibly. America could take a chapter from the Germans, in my view.
I would agree with that.
In terms of remembering the past.
Anyway, this is a fine film. It's in select theaters.
I don't mean to weigh down your segment with anything heavy. What's next?
Let's close out with one more foreign film that I got a big kick out of, and it's a little more tightly focused, and it isn't as expansive as something that actually tries to address, albeit in a subtle way, the horror of World War II. It's called Erupcja, and it's shot in Warsaw, Poland. And it features, of all people, in a central role, Charlie XCX as a young woman who's come from England on a romantic getaway with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend wants to propose. But this young woman has a relationship that she kind of abandoned and revisits occasionally in Warsaw. And that relationship is with another young woman who runs a flower shop. And they kind of reconnect, and it throws the boyfriend's plans to propose into
that's interesting,
into the ether. And what you get a chance to see here is the younger generation in Warsaw, including kind of the hip art and nightlife scene, and you get these people interacting and doing their little dance of romance and yearning and loss and continuation. And one of the recurring images is of Mount Etna, which is erupting while this is happening.
Wow.
Mount Etna in Italy, and the character played by Charlie XCX, and the other young woman who is played by a pretty wonderful actress, I assume she's Polish, Lena Gora. Apparently, every time they get together, there's a volcanic eruption somewhere on the planet. But
that's kind of wild.
It turns out that that's basically, there's usually one a week anyway. but I don't want to blow it. Jeremy O. Harris plays this kind of art student who has a party where the two women reconnect to the chagrin of the boyfriend. The boyfriend's played by Will Madden. This has been directed and written by Pete Oz, and also the actors contribute, I think, some improvised dialogue. And I thought it was pretty damn good. It's a little movie. It's in limited release, but I thought
it sounds like it's one that'll make me smile.
Yeah,
I like those.
It's intriguing, and it's kind of, again, it's not grandiose or anything, but Erupcja.
It's in select theaters. Okay.
Yes, it's in select theaters. Really quickly, before we get out of here,
please,
I want to endorse a TV series that I watched. I gobbled it up.
I love it when you endorse things.
What
is it?
On Netflix, and a lot of endorsements today, except for political ones, because who's there to support? So Harry Hole is a character in the novels of musician and writer Joe Nesbo. And there was a movie called The Snowman, not a great movie, but it was adapted in 2017 with Michael Fassbender as Harry Hole. And Hole, by the way, looks like hole. So when I saw that Netflix had a series called Detective Hole, I thought, okay, I'm checking this out. And damn, it's good. And Harry Hole is a self-destructive but really brilliant Oslo police detective. And this series adapts one of the books in Nesbo's collection of them, The Devil's Star, and it stars, speaking of stars, Tobias Santelman as Harry, and the very wonderful Swedish-American actor Joel Kinnaman, who was one of the stars of the reboot of RoboCop and it was in The Killing and is currently in For All Mankind, another series that's running on streaming. And he plays Harry's fellow cop and nemesis Tom Waller, and they're kind of pitted against one another in a complex case involving a serial killer who appears to be targeting women and taking out criminals in the process. I really got off on this thing. It's called Detective Hole, and it is on Netflix.
Wow. What a... your cup runneth over. What a bounty you've offered today, Culture Blaster.
Thank you, boss.
I'll review the Detective Hole film. It's a series, actually, on Netflix. He really likes it, featuring this lead character, Harry Hole. And you can find it and you can love it, as the Culture Blaster has indicated he loves it.
I think it's Hole.
All right.
But he's holy in my mind.
Eruptia is the film shot in Warsaw featuring Charlie XCX. Charlie is a woman, isn't Charlie?
Yeah, don't get confused again. Sam is a woman.
Sam, you've got a lot of that today, just designed to throw me off. Featuring Charlie XCX reconnecting with a woman in a flower shop. Apparently it's a lovely little film, and Michael really likes it. And I think I may go see it. How's that?
I'm shocked.
It's in select theaters. Amram is the Fatah Akin-directed film, adapted from a book. Takes place on the German island of Amram.
I don't know if it's adapted from a book, but it's adapted from this guy's childhood.
I'm sorry. I thought it was memorialized in book form. Not the case.
Maybe, I don't know, but it's basically based on his
true
childhood
story
memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
True story.
Nanning is this young kid with a Nazi mom, and they're living on. I'm sorry, that's what it is.
Well, she's a supporter.
Okay, I'm just saying she's a supporter of the Nazi Party, and it's tough days on the island. And as the Allied troops begin to take hold of her husband and other aspects of their lives, he really likes it. Amram is in select theaters. Mother Mary is the film that marries all those aspects of pop music, of paranormal weirdness, Anne Hathaway singing. It's a crossroads in her career as an artist and a career of a musician. She's experienced mental and physical trauma. She seeks out Sam, who is a woman, Michaela Cole, and Michael felt it kind of missed a little bit. This is what I got from you, that she's a great singer, Anne Hathaway,
right,
and does a nice job with this film, but you just felt as though the film missed a little bit.
Yeah, the actors are fantastic, and if you need further endorsement of Michaela Cole, last week when you were off, I reviewed The Christophers, where she acts up against Ian McKellen, and it is a powerhouse film that I totally
And where
love.
is that film, The Christophers?
The Christophers is in select
theaters.
Yes,
You're damn
sir.
right. Normal is the wild, funny shoot 'em up with Bob Odenkirk as the action star. It is funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like dark humor and, the grisly, tongue-in-cheek. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the interim sheriff named Ulysses. There's a bank robbery. Henry Winkler's in it. And it is in theaters. Michael liked it. And Lee Cronin's The Mummy is where we started. Child lost in Egypt 8 years later, re-emerging. He says it's a competent horror film. Not bad, but he likes other iterations of The Mummy more. The Mummy is in wide release. I'm a big fan of all of your stuff, Michael. I really am. May not seem that way, but I really am. And I'm grateful for your contributions, and I read your stuff. I think the written word is one of the great ways you express yourself. And so you can find Michael Snyder at thevoicesf.org. Read his musings that transcend the world of movies and streaming.
But in this case, for instance, this week we talk about The Christophers and the new Hamlet. So
very, very good.
Check it out.
Michael, any closing words before I bid you farewell?
Well, I'm not giving up on the Giants, and I'm extremely excited about the Dubs getting into this play-in game tonight, which is win and advance to the actual playoffs, lose and go home. And Steph, of course, is one of the great wonders of the athletic world, Steph Curry. We'll see how it goes this evening in Phoenix.
I'm seeing many people in the chat extolling the virtues of Nuremberg, the movie Nuremberg, which you had reviewed, recommended some weeks ago.
Yes.
And it looks like many people have seen it and were quite taken by it. Cece says, I just watched Nuremberg. I'm still processing it. Yeah.
Great stuff. By the way, CC, I have not gotten a chance to watch Balls Up. I saw that Mark Wahlberg is one of the 2 stars, and I went, yeah, I don't know. It's only available on streaming, but I might take a look at it.
No. Please keep us posted on everything you do. Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, who comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Culture Blaster.
Fare thee well, everybody, until next Friday.
Yes, always the best to see Michael in
The Mark Thompson Show.
the house.
This is Mark Thompson.
We've got to get on.
And now, your comments.
Okay. Look, I can keep going. Kim's got that after party show she needs to get to. That's all she thinks about. After party this, and I got to get to the after party. I need my after party.
Really?
I don't know. I mean,
Who is having that conversation?
in my head, I hear it, even though she doesn't say it. I don't know.
No.
All right. Look, we have got to do the comments, all right?
We have processes and protocols and standards.
Thank you. That's exactly right, Albert. They're even incompetent at being incompetent, says Nullifin. Exactly. No, it is true. Their incompetence is insanely incompetent. Rancor is a ding word. I agree. It was uttered by Mo Kelly. Rancor. And you're right. We're late on the ding, but he gets it. Mark, do you pronounce Porsche? You do. Oh, this is from Asian Kitty Fish. You should hear this, Michael. Let me turn Mike's. Here we go.
My bad. I'm sorry. Porsche.
Mark, you do pronounce Porsche with the at the end. It's Porsche.
It's wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
I've confirmed this with my BFF's German husband.
Oddly enough, that's also the name of the heroine of The Merchant of Venice.
Portia?
Portia, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Shakespeare.
Well,
Shakespeare reference.
I stand...
I stand corrected.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Agent Kitty Feets, for that. And thank you for being a member of this channel. She's got channel membership. Will Knight says, after fabulous Florida, we need a fabulous Argentina as a palate cleanser. As MAGA Milei's economic disaster goes viral, butchers are substituting cheaper donkey meat as a beef substitute. That is wild. Yeah, the Argentinian money grab that went on with this administration, as you know, Scott Bessent and his pals, these are guys who are arbitraging the world economies. We sent $20 billion to Argentina. Imagine that. There was no congressional vote on that appropriation, and we just sent it. It's an outrage. It was done purely to support this economy that Scott Bessent's pals had heavily leveraged themselves in. Crazy. But anyway, you can see they're in a free fall, as referenced in that comment. Thank you. Why don't we ever see Mark at the after party live? Because I don't have time.
Uh-huh.
I don't have time.
Right.
Let me tell you something.
I don't feel very supported by you.
Kim wouldn't be here if she weren't getting paid. Okay, I mean, let's be honest about it.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Thank you. I've been since very early in the morning. I go until very late at night, wall to wall. It's wall to wall. I'm up against you. If you find a wall, you'll find me. I am wall to wall. But I do watch the after party live, usually in delay. I usually catch it later. I'll be honest with you. I don't watch the whole thing. I watch little bits and pieces of it. But I do. I wish I could watch the whole thing, but I'm wall to wall. I am wall to wall. And when you're up against the wall, you can only watch a little bit at a time.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
Casey gets it. I want a new membership went to Flo Galvez, new YouTube member. Loving it. Thank you. We really do appreciate all the membership. We appreciate all the support on Patreon, on PayPal. It has been a wonderful week where maybe we're seeing the end to these hostilities in the in the Middle East. Finally, we got a Florida Gator story, says Gordon. Albert. Yeah, thank you, Albert, for the... I mean, there'll be more as the...
Albert, thank you.
The warm weather hits, right, Albert? Isn't that what happens? They come out.
Yeah, I feel like the warmer weather lasts longer into the year, and the cold weather also bleeds into what we used to think was springtime. So the Gators are coming later and staying longer.
Albert got a big promotion in his other job. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but he has assured me that he can still honor his commitments to this show, which is very exciting. So he's my favorite. So I really am glad to hear that. Kim, have a good weekend. Albert, have a good weekend. Everyone, have a good weekend. And now, the great Shadow.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Everybody go over to the after party.
It's out of time. Bye-bye.
Out of time. That's it. Good weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.